Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dream a Fantastic Dream podcast. Today is March 11th, 2022, and today we're diving into exciting news from the Disney company, including a brand new piece of merch, lots of merch, St. Patrick's Day food menus, and a Disney controversy, as well as Obi-Wan Kenobi. We are your hosts, Skylar Gifford, Armida Flores, and Jared Covert.
Hello.
Hi.
We gonna start real serious because
Yeah.
I'm about to pop off on probably the biggest piece of Disney news that we have. We're gonna be talking about the Don't Say Gay bill and how Disney is connected to it. So it started off with Disney donated over $250,000 to the governor for the efforts in the Don't Say Gay bill. The bill, which is titled Parental Rights in Education, states that lessons about sexual orientation are banned outright in kindergarten through third grade. It also prohibits lessons in other grades unless they are quote unquote age appropriate and developmentally appropriate, which I think is a load of shit.
Yeah,
I can say that now.
Yeah.
It's a lot, honestly, especially for people that are, in that situation.
The bill's supporters say it strengthens parental rights by preventing teachers and school staffers from withholding information about gender issues from parents. I just hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it with every.
There's no reason to like it, honestly. I can't see any positives coming from this at all. It's extremely damaging.
It's kind of, I'm not going to say it was obvious, but it's very apparent because we've had one little gay moment in all of Disney movie history, and it was in the live action Beauty and the Beast when LeFou danced with a guy.
Yeah. And then let's not forget the one gay cop in Onward.
Yep. And the assumption for Luca.
Oh yeah. The rest of it is just like reading in between the lines. Like in Encanto, you can say the same thing.
But pretty much it's one of those things where it's like, why can we show like straight marriages, straight everything, but we can't show LGBTQ? Because that's the real reason that everyone still thinks it's weird and thinks
honestly,
it's
like
unnatural.
Universal could beat out Disney in a heartbeat just for that one gay couple on the Secret Life of Pets ride.
Oh, fully.
Yeah.
It's just, for me,
it's not that hard.
For me, it's weird because like they promote their company and like such a highlight, like, oh, one of our keys is inclusion.
Exactly. Yes.
This is what bothers me the most, is that they do that and then they hide everything that isn't like heterosexual or what is supposedly the best situation for the world or the globe as a whole. Hiding out so many like key issues that I think as a society are like not willing to get into on, mass media, which is really sad. Especially Disney, this should be the place for them to fully discover that.
And I feel like, I mean, that's an extremely good, that's a good point. I had another thought and then that just can, that's a really good point, because I feel like a lot of kids who don't feel like school is a place where they are accepted, or when you feel like, at least when I was a kid, I like being, throwing from the racial side of it instead. When I felt like I was isolated because of my race, I would go to Disney and I would just like forget all about that for a minute.
There we go.
And it's even more so, and to kind of drive that point home, it's even more so now for kids who, Encanto and Coco exist for them. So they can now watch those and feel like Disney accepts them when nobody else will. And that's kind of the reason why we as adults love Disney now, is because Disney accepted us when no one else did. And so for Disney to, it's kind of like Disney is like, we accept all of you except for the gay kids. It's really bad. Yeah.
It's awful because they strive on that. They strive on inclusion. There's so many like cast members that just work there that are part of the LGBTQ community.
I know many.
and this is how their company is standing for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awful because Disney's pretty much agreeing to keep the LGBTQ community in the dark and consider them less than, and it's
so
it's annoying.
I wrote this specifically for that reason. So this doesn't have much to do with the bill in general, but for me personally, there's like two things that I believe in most out of like anything related to politics, and that's women's rights and their like free choice to like choose for themselves and like their body, and LGBTQ rights. Like, you know, the fact that these are two major issues that we've had for so long. Like, I really feel for you guys. And if you are listening and you are part of that, like, just know that we're here for you. We care about you guys and we do this for you. So don't feel like you're outcasted, because we want to keep supporting you, and we'll do whatever we can in our power to make sure we can do that.
Always.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
I ditto that, and then racial equality as well.
Yeah.
That for me, that's like, that kind of goes into like civil rights, women's rights, just everything in general.
All of my colors of the rainbow can come hang out at my house. Let's go. I got tacos. Let's go. But I think but part of it, I think, is that like, when I think that not to hold the company and the executives accountable, but I'm just gonna just like kind of turn and look at the other side of the portrait for just a moment before we go back and roast the executives, because I think it's very true that both of these ideas can exist at the same time. Is that at the same time, the community of Disney creators and the people that Disney fans look up to, and even then, like the friendships that you make, the cast members, I feel like Disney as a whole is not just the executives, but also the fans that love it. And
I agree,
the people that you see when you're walking down Main Street, and like, who are you looking at and what are you seeing there? And so like, I feel like, I mean, this is the cheesiest thing I'm going to say in my whole life. We are all Disney. And I feel like,
no, that's amazing.
I wish I could word that better, but yes, we are all Disney.
I agree. Yeah. I get where you're coming from.
I'll find a better way to write that in a second. But I think that, you know, if I consider like my closest friends who are cast members to be what Disney is supposed to represent, then, you know, that for me feels really good, because there are people who work at Disney, who love Disney, who are inclusive, who actually do follow the core values that people should be following to just be a decent human being. So that's that side of the portrait. But at the same time, we got to hold the executives accountable. Both of these ideas exist. The executives are money hoarders, essentially. And we need to speak on it, because they're willing to risk the developmental growth of these very young kids, and also, you know, change, and also like keep the damaging system that's already in place, and the damaging social system that's already in place for all groups, really. To what was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
These systems are still in place.
Yeah.
And when executives continue, and when they're risking that just to build a new ride, and it kind of like, it doesn't make me excited for things like the new Avengers ride. It doesn't make me excited for the new expansions that are coming. It doesn't make me excited for these things, because it's disappointing that the money that went towards damaging these kids is going towards my entertainment. Like, that doesn't feel good. Like,
I didn't know how like this would affect me going into this episode. Like, I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about this, but I'm trying so hard not to cry right now. Like, it's so hard to like listen to. Like, it's horrible.
Even just the fact that public human decency has become a political stance is god awful.
We mentioned that last time. Yeah,
it shows you how ruined the system is. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to side with a political party in order to say that somebody can live their life. No,
It's
That's not how
disappointing.
life should be.
Exactly.
I'm going to read the actual email that Pixar sent the Disney execs.
Yeah, please do.
The header is a statement to leadership from the LGBTQIA plus employees of Pixar and their allies. This is the contents of it. We are writing because we are disappointed, hurt, afraid, and angry. In regards to Disney's financial involvement with legislators behind the Don't Say Gay bill, we hope that our company would show up for us, but it didn't. Monday's email, titled our unwavering commitment to the LGBTQ plus community, rang very hollow. It began with the claim that Disney has a long history of supporting the LGBTQ plus community, but Disney parks did not officially host Pride until 2019 in Paris alone. Disney has a history of shutting down fan-created Pride events in the parks, even removing same-sex couples from dancing together in the 1980s. Additionally, Disney began capitalizing on Pride in 2018 with the Rainbow Mickey collection, while de-emphasizing the terms like LGBTQ+ and not even featuring explicitly LGBTQIA+ pieces such as pride flag pins until 2021. That was last year, folks.
Yep.
To this end, it feels terrible to be part of a company that makes money from Pride merch when it chooses to step back in times of our greatest need when our rights are at risk. The second claim stated that corporate statements, this is all in quotes, corporate statements do very little to change outcomes or minds. However, the very email making this claim opened with a corporate statement regarding the ongoing situation in Ukraine. 8 days after Russia invaded Ukraine, Disney paused the release of theatrical movies in Russia and announced, "We will make future business decisions based on the evolving situation." Following the siege on the Capitol in 2021, Disney stopped all political donations to members of Congress who had objected to the presidential election results. In 2016, Disney told the state of Georgia, "We will plan to take our business elsewhere should any legislations allowing discriminatory practices be signed into state law." In response to the controversial Religious Liberty Bill. By taking a stand, Disney directly affected the legislative outcome in Georgia. It has been proven that Disney's corporate statements can and do make a difference. Finally, we come to the push for content as the answer. We at Pixar have personally witnessed beautiful stories full of diverse characters come back from Disney corporate reviews, shaved down to crumbs of what they once were. Nearly every moment of overtly gay affection is cut at Disney's behest, regardless of when there is protest from both the creative teams and executive leadership at Pixar. I would like to add one of these was Luisa's design. The Disney execs didn't want her muscular, and Pixar had to fight tooth and nail to have a woman represented in such a not even masculine, just in that state, and that's not part of the email. That's my opinion, but that's ridiculous to me. Even if creating LGBTQIA plus content was the answer to fixing the discriminatory legislation in the world, we are being barred from creating it. Beyond the quote unquote inspiring content that we aren't even allowed to create, we require action. We are calling on Disney leadership to immediately withdraw all financial support from the legislators behind the Don't Say Gay bill, to fully denounce this legislation publicly, and to make amends for their financial involvement. While signing on to donate to the HRC as a step in the correct direction, the shareholder meeting on Wednesday made it clear that this is not enough. Throughout the shareholder meeting, Disney did not take a hard stance in support of the LGBTQIA plus community. They instead attempted to placate, quote unquote, both sides, and did not condemn hateful messages shared during the question and answer portion of the meeting. This is not what it means to unequivocally stand in support of our LGBTQ plus employees, their families, and their communities. Disney taking a stand by honoring their company values has changed the course of legislation in the past. If Disney is true in its values, it will take a decisive public stand against the discriminatory legislation occurring in Florida and offer tangible support for the LGBTQIA plus communities affected by bigoted legislation sweeping the country. Stand against this bill in Florida and against the similar bills in South Carolina, Arizona, Virginia, and Tennessee. stand against the transphobic legislations in Texas, Iowa, Utah, Kansas, Indiana, Louisiana, Missouri, and Alabama.
Yes.
Many hateful groups are attempting to eradicate us through legislation. We need you to stand with us entirely, not in empty words. This matter is not something that can wait until Reimagine Tomorrow in April or Pride Month in June.
Mhm.
This matter needs to be addressed now. This is urgent. 42% of LGBTQIA plus youth seriously considered suicide in 2021, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth, with a large factor being the lack of support that these discriminatory legislations enable. Disney claims to care for the welfare of children, but supporting politicians like this directly hurts one of their most vulnerable audiences. There are lives at stake, and Disney's support could save those lives. We still have more work to do, your email said. This is that work. Signed with pride, the LGBTQIA plus employees of Pixar and their allies.
Oh, they would these writers went to English class. They wrote a full
Oh yeah, they did.
Educational, intellectual, scholarly essay. They did a great job with this. I know I was going to say this for the end of this section, but I think this is a good time to kind of put it in. Is that so Turning Red came out today on Disney Plus. First of all, it should have had a theatrical release, but I'm okay with that. Whatever. So Turning Red released on Disney Plus today, and I'm glad that I read that letter and heard about what Pixar had said about their diverse characters being reduced to crumbs, because you can see it. Turning Red is already an extremely aggressive movie, and it has, spoiler alert for those of you who want to skip ahead about 15 seconds. There is the classic gay moment, and that's it.
Yep.
Classic. Okay, if you skipped ahead 15 seconds, you're okay now. So I'm very I watched and it blows my mind that Disney would would sponsor such a bill that states that the education of, or even politicians, because the politician straight up said this on Twitter, straight up, a Florida politician said this, was that the education of homosexuality was an inappropriate topic. And that blew my mind, that Disney would kind of do something that stands in solidarity with that. I don't care if your intention was to not do that. That's what it looks like when you give your money to people like that. I feel okay, I'm about to get mad for a hot second here. I'm about to pop off.
Go for it.
White people do this thing that pisses me off. They do this thing where it's well, I didn't mean it that way, so why are you taking it that way? Shut up. If somebody feels that way because of what you did, you own up to it and you apologize for it, and you do it differently next time. It doesn't matter what you meant. The way that it's perceived, that's what matters. And it pisses me off when these right-wing people do this, and it makes me really mad. Anyway, I got hot there for a second.
Sorry for all you white guys out there.
I'm
just kidding. It's not for everyone, but in general, yeah.
Yeah. Ask my boyfriend. I decimate him all the time. I love you. So no, but it's I just, the message despite the intention, the message that's put out there is that you're supporting this idea. And it makes my immediate thought was, well, if it's not okay to showcase homosexual marriage, it's not okay to showcase heterosexual marriage then. And if you're gonna, and I just find that after watching Turning Red, I got even more upset at Disney, because there are themes in Turning Red. They talk about periods. They talk about hormones. They talk about, the way that your body reacts when you have a crush for the first time, and the sensation that you feel from that. That is, in my opinion, 1,000 times more raunchy than just showing a gay married couple.
I agree. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier too.
And it blows my mind after watching Turning Red. You thought that was okay to release, but you couldn't just depict Like, you couldn't have just changed this one character to have a crush on this person the whole time. Like, you couldn't have changed that. Like, there were several parts where I was like, that could have been a woman, that could have been a woman, that could have been a woman, and kind of switched the narrative a little bit. And it's obvious where you can see, oh, they had to change that. And I kind of like that. I have to tip my hat to Pixar and the creatives behind Turning Red, because, and they, of course, they didn't anticipate that this would happen, that all this controversy would happen right when it comes out.
Yeah.
But
I think I honestly am proud of it.
It was aggressive, dude. My guys, you got to watch Turning Red.
Watch next night.
Just for the sheer amount of aggression that it holds. Like, I feel like the movie, I mean, I feel like all Disney movies know what they're doing, but
this movie
knows what it's doing. And I bet when it happened, they were like, dude, watch this release. And like, he's like, I'm about to make all y'all mad. Here we go. And it was a controversial movie to begin with because of, racist. So I am fascinated to see what happens with the response to it, because my guys, there's a whole spoiler alert, 15 seconds and press the button now. There's a whole sequence where she, like, it looks like she gets horny and draws pictures of her crush.
Well, this is very
you should be good.
Family appropriate.
That's what it looks like, though.
Yeah.
And the way that these characters react to that, and like calling the crush a perv and being like, she's a child, how dare you, you're a grown person. It's like, it borders on child molestation in this movie. It does.
And
I believe you.
And that's okay. That's okay.
They talk about they talk about sexualizing minors. They talk about periods. They talk about hormones. They talk about embarrassments of growing up. And it makes me upset that
I just heard the whole spectrum.
Yeah. And it makes me upset that this is okay, because it's women's rights, and we can talk about women's rights because all women go through this, and it's okay that we can talk about what women's bodies go through. But we can't base a story with, a character that has two dads or two moms, and just like see what that family dynamic is like. We can't talk about that. Like, a child who grows up with gay parents can't talk about their parents. Like,
it's
it doesn't, like if you're gonna go that hard, then go that hard, y'all. Like, don't, like, just say you're a homophobe and move on. Just say it, because you're not sticking to your script here. You're just solely singling out one group, because you're doing what you can for Black people. You're doing what you can for Hispanics. You're doing what you can for Asians. You're doing what you can for disabled people, but you can't get it together for one more group. Are you serious? Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. I'm gonna talk about Chapek's response to this. He issued a formal apology.
Mm-hmm.
This is what that email said, and it got sent out to all cast members. To my fellow colleagues, but especially our LGBTQ plus community, thank you to all who have reached out to me, sharing your pain, frustration, and sadness over the company's response to the Florida Don't Say Gay bill. Speaking to you, reading your messages, and meeting with you have helped me better understand how painful our silence was. It is clear that this is not just an issue about a bill in Florida, but instead yet another challenge to basic human rights. Thank you. The first correct thing he said since becoming CEO.
Yes.
You needed me to be a stronger ally in the fight for equal rights, and I let you down. I'm sorry. Our employees see the power of this great company as an opportunity to do good. I agree. Yes, we need to use our influence to promote that good by telling inclusive stories, but also by standing up for the rights of all. Starting immediately, we are increasing our support for advocacy groups to combat similar legislations in other states. We are hard at work creating a new framework for our political giving that will ensure our advocacy better reflects our values. And today, we are pausing all political donations in the state of Florida pending this review. But I know there is so much more work to be done. I am committed to this work and to you all, and will continue to engage with the LGBTQ plus community so that I can become a better ally. You will hear more about our progress in the coming weeks. I truly believe we are an infinitely better and stronger company because of our LGBTQ plus community. I missed the mark in this case, but am an ally you can count on, and I will be an outspoken champion for the protection, visibility, and opportunity you deserve.
Way to go.
This is the one good thing that he said. And while this is a really good thing that he said, it is also the one good thing that he said in 2 years.
It also comes with a
Both
grain of
things it
salt,
does.
though. And I'm
Yeah.
so upset by it because
Mhm.
after sending out this email, he still spoke to the Florida rep,
Mhm.
like the Republican Florida rep. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're truly done with this, you don't talk to them.
Mm-mm.
You drop your support and you let them figure out why. You
Yeah.
don't go back to their office and have a formal conversation.
No, they
I-
don't deserve it.
I don't
Honestly, they
care if
don't.
you're pulling all your funding. I don't care what you're doing. You don't have a formal conversation. This is
Mm-mm.
not a formal conversation kind of thing, especially when states want to bring basic human rights into a political stance.
Mhm.
I'm over it.
My thing too is like if you if you make a Facebook status with a letter saying I'm done with my ex, I'm not saying anything, do you then go to your ex's house and be like, by the way, let's have a formal discussion about this just so we know that it's over? No. Once you do that, you've done the damage. Your ex will understand. Like
All right.
I can't.
Okay.
So I texted Jeremy about what we were doing, just to ask about what he was thinking, because he's been talking to me a lot about this
Mhm.
bill and like his stance on everything. And of course, Jeremy the T is super big.
Gonna have the tea.
Yeah. Especially
Iconic man.
No, I love him.
Truly.
But he was really happy that we brought this up on here. And he's just really thankful that we did. So good job, you guys. I'm proud of you. And even though it's just one person, like it's good that we are having an impact, especially on like this show. With there's so many people that like listen and everything. It's just nice to have it as a refreshing like piece of love.
Like I said this in the last Good News episode. We are fans of Disney. We love Disney. We've always loved Disney, but it would be ignorant of us and rude of us to not address this and hold the company that we love accountable.
I agree.
It's super important. But and again, the whole there's going to be a lot of instances in this particular situation where more than one thing is going to be true at the same time. And I think that's the most important thing to hang on to and to kind of, as we move forward, to kind of remember in most situations that involve issues like this with human rights, more than one thing is going to be true at the same time.
Yes.
Because nothing is in these situations ever black or white. And to make it black or white makes it more of an entertainment than an actual human rights issue. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat my cheesecake now. So then
I've gotten my heat out. I'm sure more will pop out in a different episode, but
I know. Let's just wait till tomorrow and see what happens.
let's get to the fun stuff, shall
All
we?
right, here we go. Let's do this.